Oh boy, this is going to be one exciting month for Hasselblad fans around the world. If you are thinking of getting a Hasselblad camera, just hold off until the 26th of August 2025. I'm not going to be holding back any information in this video, so this leak is coming from a very reliable source, and I'm just giving you the upfront summary in this video so you don't have to stay throughout the whole video if you don't have the time. So remember the date, 26 August 2025. This is very reliable. And the one that is coming is the X2D Mark II. Now, what are the differences you're going to be seeing? So again, I'm going to be giving you this all up front so you don't have to stay on throughout the whole video. So the first thing that you will see is that there is a Lidar focusing radar, which is built into the camera itself. So they claim that it will give you super fast focusing speed, same as any of the mainstream Sony or Canon or Nikon cameras, the full frame cameras, the focusing speed will be as fast, and you will be able to acquire focus even in very low light situation. Now the color temperature sensor has moved slightly, and the AF illuminator will then move to the other side of the camera. Now the shutter control port, which is on this side where the USB-C port is, it will be added there, and that is a 3.5 mm plug where you can plug in the shutter control release. And more importantly, I think a lot of people are asking for is a button here, which is a 5D button, which basically means it's a joystick control, and it is also clickable, therefore 5D instead of 4 direction, up, down, left, right. And there will be one more customizable button at the back. So this is actually everything that you can see on the camera, the X2D Mark II, when it's launched on the 26th of August 2025. Now, what you cannot see, which came from very reliable sources, is that the menu will be enhanced slightly. Now, how is it going to look? I don't have further information, but they do claim that the menu is enhanced, and the display screen is going to be of better quality. I mean, right now, as it is, it's already quite good. Actually, it's even better than the one on the 907X. Now, how do you enhance it further? I don't know. It could be an OLED screen that will be quite big. Now, the other thing you won't be able to see in the package external design is that the CPU is likely to be upgraded. Now, remember this LiDAR sensor? LiDAR sensor, if it uses the one that is on the RS4, the DJI RS4 gimbal, it will have about 76,000 ranging points, 76,800 to be precise. Now, think about the face detect autofocus points on the X2D itself. That is 294 face detect autofocus points. Now you're comparing a few hundred versus 76,000 points. So the CPU is going to have a much higher load trying to compute and take care of the 76,000. I mean, I don't know. I'm not an engineer in that sense, and definitely not a software guy. But I do think that the CPU is likely to be upgraded. So that is my upfront summary. I hope I've covered it in good timing, just a couple of minutes of your time. Now, if you do have time, do stay around and I will dive into a little bit more detail. And more importantly, besides the X2D Mark II launch, there will be one more announcement. Right? There will likely be a lens that will be announced at the same time. And this, again, is coming from my ultra reliable source. So stay on if you are interested to find out. Otherwise, if you're just interested in the X2D Mark II, there you go, 25th August. And are you going to be getting one? Let me know in the comment section down below. I am contemplating it very, very seriously. I have the 907X and this X2D Earth Explorer Edition. So it's going to be very hard for me to stomach and justify the cost for a few changes. Now, let me go into a little bit more detail to see whether it's going to be justified. Because right now at this point, we don't know the pricing. Is it going to be more expensive? Is it going to be cheaper? We're not very sure. So right now, these are publicly available information already. So it's not really a leak, but what we don't know are the details beyond what the photos tell. Now, in my thumbnail, I used the X2D Mark II photo. Yes, it's of a lower quality, but let's go through some of the photos which I have managed to get from the testing documents and the filing at SGS.com. Now, SGS is a global standards testing, inspection, and certification company, and this model number HB 722 was actually foul. Now, the external dimensions over the next 3 photos, you will see, it seems that the camera is going to be of relatively the same dimension. The layout looks very, very similar as well. So there are no major design changes except maybe for the color. There are some versions of the photos that have been leaked around that is an unpainted version. So you see the raw, shiny aluminum, but I doubt that that's going to be the one making its way out into the open. Now in the next photo for the dimensions, the flaps here are then open. So you will be able to see the CF Express Type B slot, but more importantly, the flap on the top, the USB-C port, is no longer going to be a standalone port. There's actually quite a bit of space there. So what they did was they shifted the USB port a little bit and they added a 3.5mm port. That will be the shutter release port. Now in the next photo, you'll see that the battery is put in more detail, right? So the battery here is basically going to be of the same size. The pins looks exactly the same as well. So I think the batteries will be interchangeable. Now the entire frame in the next photo is disassembled. You can see the Lexa M2 SSD drive. So this should be a 2230. The whole text is a little bit blurred, but I managed to make out some of it. But judging from the dimensions of the drive, it is going to be a M2 2230 size drive. Now in the next photo, the sensor is shown, and from what we already know, this is going to be the same 44 by 33 mm sensor medium format at 100 megapixels, so no changes there. Now in the next photo, you'll see the tilting screen. The tilting screen, it still looks like it is going to be tilting up and down, but it might actually be able to tilt down. Let me take a closer look at that. Yeah, so from the photo here, it possibly looks like it could tilt down as well. So because this camera here, the X2D original version, it only goes upwards. So there's like a 45 degree and a 70 degree, but it doesn't tilt downwards. So when you're trying to shoot high up, you cannot tilt the screen downwards towards your view. So this could be another change that we probably missed out in all the leaks and all the photos, but we'll see, right? Because from this photo, it is actually not very clear. So the last photo here will be the layout and the details of all the buttons. Now, this is majority of the changes. This is where we see all the changes. So first off, the Lidar focusing port itself. So it gives you super fast focusing, and they claim that it's going to be the same speed, if not faster maybe, than the mainstream full frame cameras. The color temperature sensor will have been moved to make space for it, and the AF illuminator is going to be moved to the other side of the camera. And well, it is still there. The AF illuminator is still going to be there. The shutter control port to the side, it will actually be added next to the USB-C port, and you will have the 5D, the joystick button. The joystick button is going to be placed somewhere here, which might be actually a little bit hard to reach. If you're going to be using one hand, you're going to find it in a very awkward position. I thought that this would have been a better place to put it, right at the top of the camera. That's where your thumb is naturally resting, so you are able to use it one-handed. But if the button is here, you probably have to support the camera with the other hand, and then you free up some motion here to move the 5D joystick button. Now there is one more customizable button just right at the back below the 5D joystick. Now beyond the photos, Hasselblad will say that the menu is now enhanced. So I don't know how it is being enhanced right now. The menu system is actually plenty easy to use already. So well, anyway, if they say it's enhanced, it's all good, right? And the display screen, which is currently at 3.5 inches across, is going to be of a better quality. So the size looks like it's still going to be the same. So I don't know what is the enhanced quality for the screen display is about. It could be an OLED screen. I don't know. If it's an OLED screen, it'll be pretty nice. But you know, because of all the icons, there is a danger for burnout on OLED screens on camera. The icons are going to be at the same space and same place throughout the entire lifetime. So maybe OLED panels aren't probably the best, but you know, the colors will be really nice and the deep blacks will show. Now the next thing I mentioned was a possible CPU upgrade, and because they wanted to handle the 76,800 ranging points for Lidar as opposed to the 294 face detect autofocus points. So that could warrant an upgrade to the CPU. Now bear in mind that the Hasselblad X2D was released, I think maybe 4 years ago now. So it is actually quite an old CPU already. I mean, in the world of tech, 4 years is a long time to pass. So that is one possibility. And with the upgraded CPU, they might just be able to take multi-shot, and the Hasselblad noise reduction algorithm in camera itself every time you take a photo. So it doesn't have to go to your computer or your phone to perform those steps anymore. Currently, the 400 megapixel multi-shot, it requires the camera to be tethered to the PC or the Mac in order to take those shots. And Hasselblad noise reduction, the enhanced noise reduction, needs to happen on the mobile, just because the CPU is not fast enough to handle that right now. Now, for those of you who are staying up to this point, I guess you might be interested in the other item that Hasselblad is going to be releasing on the same date, 26th of August 2025, alongside the X2D Mark II. And that, according to my source, is going to be a lens. So you might not have heard this before. The lens is going to be released alongside. Now, if you look at the history of the launches of the recent cameras, in 2016, the X1D was released. And when it was released with the 45mm f3.5 and the XCD 90mm f4.5 lens. So together with the camera, two lenses were released. In 2019, the X1D Mark II was released, and the Mark II is an enhancement of the X1D Mark I, and alongside it was released with the 45mm f3.5 lens. Now that is specifically designed for the X1D system. So in 2019, the 907 50C was released, and alongside with it, the 30mm f3.5 lens was also released, and it was part of the 907X Anniversary Edition kit. Now in 2022, the X2D, the 100C, this one that I'm holding in my hands now, not exactly the Earth Explorer Edition, but in 2022, the X2D 100C, yeah, I mentioned 2021 earlier, I was wrong, it's 2022, it was released with 3 new V series lenses, the XCD 38V, the 55V, and the 90V, probably within the same year, but basically there were lenses accompanying the launch of the X2D 100C. Now in 2024, when they launched the 907X with the CFV100C digital back system, it wasn't released with any new lens specifically, but the 75P and the 25V were released in the same year of 2024. And in the same year, the E lens, the 20 to 35 zoom lens, was also released. That's one heck of an expensive lens. So there's a very high chance that the new lens will be released together with the X2D Mark II. That isn't new so far. I believe my source is extremely reliable. If you have any news, let me know in the comment section down below. And what do you think? Now let's think about the new lens that is going to be released with the X2D Mark II. Now X2D Mark II key feature is going to be the Lidar focusing system that is built into the camera. Now the lens that is going to be released will likely want to take advantage of the Lidar. So the Lidar, it actually cannot reach very far. Some Lidar system, yes, for those that are catching speeding cars down the expressway, yeah, they do need to, capture from quite far away, and those powerful systems can reach up to 1 kilometer range. But if you look at the RS4, which is the DJI gimbal, it has a Lidar module. It reaches up to 20 meters. So it's not going to be very, very far. And the module on the X2D Mark II is going to be actually pretty small. So I don't think it's going to reach that distance. And bearing that in mind, if it is within 20 meters, I would think that they would tend to want to launch a, something a little bit longer, not so wide a lens is not going to be suitable for landscape photography. And there will be physical limitations as well, right? Because this is actually where the Lidar sensor is going to be placed on the X2D Mark II camera. Now, if you think about it, the angle is going to be blocked by the lens. So they're going to have to release a lens that is going to be slightly compact, going to be a little bit shorter in terms of dimension, and not as wide a diameter, right? So I think it could be a P series lens, but let's look at the actual range of lens that Hasselblad has today. So Assuming that the range of the LiDAR sensor is limited, we might expect that the lens will be more suitable for portraiture work and for, taking maybe street shots a little bit, and but more people focused. Now you look at the lenses within Hasselblad's lineup today, across the E and the V and the P range, it goes from 25mm to 28mm to 38, 45, 55, 75, and 90. Now, this are all the current range that are released within the last 5 years. So I'm not going back all the way to the older X2D lenses. Now, the biggest gap is actually between the 55 and the 75. Now, there is a 35 to 75mm zoom covering that range, but that is a 1.1 kg lens, which was launched in 2019. So would have been like 6 years old by now. There is also a 65mm f2.8 lens, which was launched even older in 2018, right? And that comes in still at 727 grams. So pretty heavy, and those are also going to be relatively big lenses that will actually cover and block the LiDAR sensor. And because the LiDAR sensor is in a fixed place, they will likely not launch a lens that is too long, too big, and basically blocks the LiDAR, because then you won't be able to take advantage of the LiDAR on the X2D Mark II. Now, just bear in mind that even if the LiDAR doesn't work, the face detect autofocus will still kick in. So if you're trying to focus something on the bottom left of the frame and it's being blocked by the lens, yeah, the PDF, the face detect autofocus will then kick in. But bearing all this in mind, I'm pretty sure they won't release a wide lens because you're going to be blocked by the lens barrel itself. So I have a few speculations. I'm thinking that there are 3 possible lenses that they will release. Now, there will be one from the V series of lens. Now, this is going to be a 65mm f2.5, which is consistent with the rest of the V series lens at a fixed aperture, very wide open at f2.5. The lens is likely to weigh about 400 grams. So that's a good 300 gram savings from the older 65 f2.8 already. Now, the next one is possibly a P series lens, and I'm thinking that to fit into the P series between the 45 and the 75, this could be something like a 60mm lens f4.0, but it's going to be light at 300 plus grams, therefore the P series portable. So either of this lens is going to be pretty exciting because it does fill a gap that Hasselblad has left open for a very long time already. And 65mm, 60mm is going to translate to about 50mm full frame, which is a range that is sorely missing in the prime setup for Hasselblad today. Yes, again, I know you can use the older 65, but that has front focusing, and I don't like the fact that the barrel keeps moving in and out. I want silent, I want modern. Now, the last possibility is an E-series lens. So there's only one E-series lens, which is the 20 to 35mm that is available today. It's a variable aperture, and I think the new lens, if they do launch in the E-series, it could be a zoom to cover the upper ranges, right? It is 35 to 70, 75mm, and it will be variable aperture. Now, the key is that we need to make this lens light, because currently there's already a 35 to 75mm zoom lens available. It's older, but it is very heavy at 1.1 kilograms. And that is one of the reasons why I will never buy the lens, because I do favor lighter and portable lenses. Now, if they launch an E-series at 35 to 75mm, that is something that I will likely buy, because you can then save on carrying a lot of lenses. So just the zoom lens and a super wide lens, and you're done for the whole trip. Okay, so let me know what your thoughts are and about the new camera. Let me know what your speculation is for the new lens that is going to be released. They are going to release the lens, there is no doubt, but what lens? That is the question. So if you are interested in the new camera and the new lens, do stay subscribed. I will be covering those lenses. I'm using my own money, so there is no Hasselblad influence on this. I know they are a great producer and they don't go around hounding the creators for their input, but basically, hey, I'm spending my own money. I will get past the hubris and I will let you know after I get the camera and review the camera. So I'll see you soon in my next video.